Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Thank you all for coming tonight. It's great to see so many of you, so many people which I haven't met before, and I had the privilege to meet you. So I'm quite honored to meet so many with such a variety of backgrounds as well. So thank you all for coming. So I'll just say a few things about what Startup Grind is. The Startup Grind is an international network for entrepreneurs, and we are in over 120 countries now, and we are globally sponsored by Google for entrepreneurs, which they provide us with resources and other things as well. What we do, we are here to help entrepreneurs with their journeys, with their startups, and every month we have an event, and we try and connect as many people as possible, either by inspiring them with a great speaker like the one we've got tonight, which I'm sure everyone will be quite amazed by his background story, which I am already. I've known John for quite some time, so I'm quite looking forward to that. Okay, so just a big shout out to Colombia tonight. So Mauricio Duque in Colombia, in Barranquilla, welcome to Startup Grind. I look forward to speaking to you very soon, and good luck for tomorrow. So I'm sure it'll be fine. I think you've got a full house already. So looking forward to watch your video as well, and with your speaker. So for tonight here in Cardiff, beautiful Cardiff. It's not as sunny as it was a few weeks ago, but that doesn't make any difference, because people are fantastic. So we've got Courtney tonight as a house speaker. He's got a wealth of experience, and so much experience in terms of what he's done in the past, different backgrounds in terms of subjects as well, which includes digital marketing. He's been nominated as one of the best entrepreneurs in the UK in the top 30 by CTAM, which I'm sure he'll tell us all about that. And John, he's been around for years and years, and he's also a non-executive.
107 years old.
I didn't mean it like that. But I think he's got roles as non-exec and chair as well, so he can advise any startup, any business, and that's what his story is so inspiring to anyone even watching the video as well. So without further ado, can we please stand up as in traditionally in Startup Grind, and welcome our fantastic speaker for tonight, John Courtney. Welcome, John. Welcome, John. So how are you feeling?
Well, slightly nervous now.
Are you?
People, then with a big crowd, but you've given me a big build-up, so just
No, I'm always, we have to make people remember, how rich background people have, and how you have helped people for even by coming here tonight, you are helping people. So thank you for that. So perhaps we'd like, maybe we can start by saying, a few things just to get people familiar with John, and especially people which haven't met John before. So perhaps could you tell us where you were born, and so we can start from there.
Well, back in 1887. Born in Huddersfield, Huddersfield in Yorkshire, but lived in London, went to school in London. And my parents were both teachers and writers, and they emigrated out to Canada in 1967. Well, that is almost 1887. My father got a job as a professor in the university out in Victoria on Vancouver Island. So we all emigrated out there as a family. I was 10, turning 11. So I was in school in Canada for 5 years, and came back at 15, and went to boarding school over here. Sorry.
No, just
I could ramble forever. I kind of know the subject. You know,
no, that's fine. So the reason you came to Britain was because of the school.
Education in Canada, I thought was fine. It was great, but my parents thought English schooling was a little bit better, and I was probably a little bit of trouble at home. So it kind of suited.
That's fine.
Suited well.
So from then you went to, did you go to university over here or?
Yeah, went to University of Kent at Canterbury. I remember going into my careers master, so this was in the 70s. And I had not a clue what to do. In those days, business degrees were done at colleges, polytechnics. It wasn't a university course at all, so that wasn't an option. And my careers master said, well, you've got to go into something general, go into law. So I quite liked the idea of law. I'd seen Perry Mason and these sort of things. I thought, well, that sounds quite fun. So I went and did law. And the first year was great fun. There was a foundation course with 7 different subjects, and only one of them was law, and that was criminal law, and that was all about poisoning people and stabbing people and all this sort of stuff. It was great. I really enjoyed it. It was fabulous. And then the second year came, and it was all law. And I remember falling asleep in constitutional law. I had this huge textbook, and my head hit the textbook as I fell asleep. I thought, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. It's a shame. I fancy myself as a barrister here, but in the holidays, because both my parents have been writers, we always had typewriters, so I could type, and I could type about 40 words a minute. I looked at the keys, I could type, and so I used to get a holiday job as a typist. Sometimes as a receptionist, sometimes working the switchboard, but generally around typing, which is great. Got good holiday money. And in between school and university, I've worked for a trading company as a temporary secretary for a week, and I loved it. The guy was buying and selling chemicals and pharmaceuticals. He was a container load of aspirin, and he was buying it in Hamburg and shipping it to Rotterdam, buying it in Rotterdam and shipping it to Antwerp. And he was making money out of thin air. He never saw the product, it was all just hearing. And I got fascinated, I got hooked by it. It was wonderful. Buying and selling, it was brilliant.
And it just shut the door. Was it nice?
Sorry. It was a challenge. So I did that just for a week, and when I fell asleep over my law books, the guy offered me a job. He said, come and learn to be a trader. And so I suspended my degree and went to work as a chemical trader, 76, 77, somewhere in there. And I never went back. I never went back to university. So I'm a university dropout, as a lot of entrepreneurs, I think, are. I never went back. I would have done if there had been an interesting degree. But today, I think if I would have done business, I probably would have stayed, because that's fascinating. But law, I'm afraid not. So I went to work as a chemical trader, and I did that for a few years, and it was fascinating, buying and selling and trading, and buying for stock and selling for stock, and you learn lots and lots of business skills. How to negotiate was the fundamental one. Paperwork associated with it. I learned not to, there's no accountant in the window, I learned not to trust accountants terribly much, because the accountant said that we didn't, you're not an accountant. The accountant told us we'd lost money in about the third year that I was there, but I knew we hadn't lost money. But they decided, the owners decided that the accountants were right, and and the company didn't exist after a while. So I went and set my own business up, and that was the beginning. So I was 21 with my own business, and I thought, the world was made. My own business at 21. Nobody told me what hard work it was going to be running a business. Jeez. Here we are 40 years later, and I kind of know how much hard work it is. It's great fun being an entrepreneur, but it's bloody hard work.
You find that by not knowing, that was a good way to do it.
Yes, because if you know the stresses and strains and heartbreak, would you go into it? Don't know. Some would, some wouldn't. There's been lots of great things, don't get me wrong, but it is hard work. And any businessman, I meet a lot of business people now, a lot of entrepreneurs, and first thing I do if they said they've been trading for 5 years and they're profitable is I shake their hand. I know it's hard work, getting there. So my first business was chemical trading, and I remember we got an office in Bristol. This is 79, I think, something like that. And I remember I wallpapered the office, and I painted the skirting board, and I did everything, and kind of made it home, and it was cheap and cheerful, but we made a bit of money. I was quite good at trading. I'd learned a few things along the way, and so we ran a trading company for a while. And then I kind of got to, so that was 21, I did that for maybe 3 years. And actually I found managing people very difficult. I had no training, no experience, and we didn't have very many staff, but I did find managing people quite difficult. So I then went and worked for a PLC. From a start-up to a PLC in one jump. Farming company, named Velcourt, biggest farmers in the UK, still are. And I went to work as their raw materials manager. So I was their buyer. I'd go and buy their chemicals and fertilisers, and in the end the combine harvesters and tractors and you name it. It was 25,000 acres, like a huge farming organisation. And then that developed into, because we were buying so well, other farmers would ask us and we would go and sell to them. So we had a trading company. And I was back on home turf, buying and selling. I did that within the group for a while. And then outside the group, as things developed, I had my own chemical trading company. Started going to branding then, so we had our own brand. We weren't just trading other people's brands, and that kind of introduced me to branding proper. And we were selling to agricultural merchants, so I was buying the chemicals and bagging it and branding it, and then going to see agricultural merchants and persuading them to buy my product. And I think that was the first time I ever got a real buzz from, I'd not invented the product, but I'd invented the brand, and people were buying my brand, and that was quite a new experience, really.
Do you feel more responsibility? Or?
Yeah, it's more responsibility, and I guess more proud that I didn't, not I've invented something, but I created a brand, and people were buying that brand, and that was. And I remember having the labels, the product labels, up on my office wall, and I'd look proudly at those because actually the designs were great, but I designed them, and people bought the product. I thought it was wonderful, and that kind of got me onto branding, really.
So this was were you in your 30s at that time?
No, it's still late, yes, I suppose late 20s at that stage, late 20s.
Okay. Yes. And then did you stay within branding, or did you?
Well, yeah, so that company went quite well. I've been very lucky, I've had 6 businesses over the years, and 5 have made money. 1 didn't. We'll come to that in a minute. But that made some money, not billions, but enough. And but I got bored. One of the entrepreneur's problems is a pretty terrible boredom threshold. And I did get bored. I got and because my hobby, my life is around cricket. That's what I am. I'm an amateur cricketer. And a friend of mine in my cricket club mentioned to me that the best bat maker in the world had gone bust. John Newberg bats. And I said, that's terrible. We should do something about that. So we did. And we created a cricket bat company. And I was running my chemical business, and in the spare room we had cricket bats. And then we had pads, and we had some clothing, and eventually the room was a bit full, really, all these samples and things we'd invented. And I was getting bored with the chemicals, so by then I had a junior partner, and so I sold the business to the junior partner. And I put all the money that I made into cricket bats. And proceeded over the next 7 years to lose all of that money and a great deal more besides. But it was the most fabulous business ever.
Which was exciting for you?
Oh my God, yes! Because suddenly I was creating a brand again.
Yeah.
So I created a brand of cricket bats, and people bought them, and pads and gloves and shoes, and they bought the brand, and that was absolutely
Can I ask a question?
Do please.
Do you think that's I think doing something you love, as you say, is a wonderful thing. It's something you have a passion for about that. But it's always a good idea, you look at other businesses, even big businesses like Triumph Motorcycles, resting on their laurels, but somebody else coming in as an entrepreneur and taking it over and making decent motorcycles but using the brand. You turn the company around by actually not being too interested in the product.
I think that's
it's a dangerous thing to be.
It is, and I think you make a really good point. I think you make, if it's something you're really passionate about, and for me, cricket is.
But if it overrides the business.
Yes, you can sometimes make emotional decisions instead of logical decisions, and I certainly fell into that trap a few times. I fell into lots of other traps as well because I was in a cricket club, and then I'd get some of my mates in the cricket club to be working in the business. So that's trap number 2. Try not to employ your friends and relatives. So and then I got my wife involved in the business. So there's a friend and a relative and a hobby. So I probably made all the mistakes all at once. Unsurprisingly, the business never made any money. And so we ran it for 7 years, and every year it lost money. And it was a wonderful business, don't get me wrong. People bought the brand, and we had, you probably don't know, but we had our 15 minutes of fame, as Andy Warhol said. So we invented a double-sided cricket bat, and it got on the front page of the Times and the Telegraph on the same day. And we were on the television and the radio and newspapers, and everybody was talking about the company. It was wonderful. And it launched the company, and it got us known, and it got us established, and it was wonderful. Still never made any money.
So who was funding the business? You?
Me? Out of my previous. And I did.
We'll come on Q&As after.
Sorry.
That's clever. Great show. And no matter how I try to remodel the business. I mean, I've talked now this evening to people about, playing with the Rubik's Cube of business and how you can make things more profitable or less profitable by changing things. And I still find that absolutely fascinating. But I did that with the cricket business so many times in order to try and make it profitable, and I never could. And in the end, I had to give up. It was either remortgage the house, or which my wife wouldn't let me, or close the business, so I closed the business.
So would you say that's for an entrepreneur, he needs to know when it's the right time to make that change?
I think so. I think one of the things, I mean, they always say, don't they, that you learn more from failure than you do from success, and that's certainly true in my case. One of the many things I learned, aside from not having more friends and partner and so on, is giving yourself if you're starting a business, giving yourself a stop loss. At what stage do you not continue with the business? Is it a length of time, 3 years, 5 years, whatever, or is it the amount of money that you've sunk into the business? I never did that at the beginning, and it was always, well, this year's lost money, but I can see, I've done the budget and I can see next year is going to make money, and next year never made money. So I think one thing I do now suggest to people is, if you're starting up, give yourself a stop loss.
But some people would argue that, if you just go for another 10 minutes, you might just be there.
You might, yeah.
Yes, that's kind of a buying stop.
There's no right answer, is there? But looking back, if I'd have given myself a stop loss, I wouldn't have said 7 years and I'm going to tell you how much money. I wouldn't have given it half that. So anyway, these, as I say, you learn a lot more from failure, and I can tell you failure was very, very painful. When you start a business and you're successful, that gives you a lot of confidence in life. And the reverse is true. When you have a failure and you've let people down, or you feel you've let people down, no matter how hard you've tried, then you feel a failure in yourself. It took me a long time to recover from that, but I did. And you just get back onto the bandwagon, and something else comes along.
So, and what did you do after?
Well, I retrained. There wasn't anything that was bumping up against me saying, do me. So I retrained as a strategy consultant, and best thing I ever did. I learned a lot of things about how to start businesses and run businesses that honestly I'd done most of it by the seat of my pants. So I learned some proper ways of doing things, and that was great help going forward into future businesses. So from training as a consultant, then I started a strategy consultancy, which was just myself originally, and then myself and my wife. Yes, I made the same mistake again, but it had to be, and then grew the business through associates. So we had lots of associates providing consultancy to clients, and the business was taking a share of that. So and that was fine. And then it kind of grew sideways because while I had management consultancy clients, some of them needed funding, and I worked for Beer and Partners, who were the largest business angel network in Europe at the time, and so I was kind of doing both things at the same time. My consultancy clients needed funding clients needed consultancies. The two things worked hand in glove. And the consultancy was around corporate strategy and marketing strategies. That's what I trained in. And just at that time, the internet was growing very fast, and digital marketing as we know it today, internet marketing as we knew it back then, started to gather pace. And what started as our marketing division became internet marketing division, became an internet marketing company, and eventually subsumed the whole business. And in the end, 20 years on, because the business, I said morphed, these days the term is pivoted from a management consultancy into a digital marketing agency. And by the end it was just digital marketing. We had no management consultancy at all, there was no funding, and we had 50 staff doing SEO, pay-per-click, social media, content marketing.
You say 50?
50, yeah. based in Bristol, and we sold out 3 years ago to a company called Fat Media. So Fat Media in Bristol exists today, and that was my business. And that was kind of a 20-year journey, but it changed a lot over that time.
So in terms of what you've learned over the years,
how long you got?
if someone is someone like perhaps like Steve just has an idea to start and he knows what he wants to do, what would be your advice in that case?
Many and several. One, I do a plan. Two, I do a budget. And budgeting, budgeting, I was quite good at maths at school, but I'm not a finance man. But I found in the last business I had that doing regular budgets and planning financially forward gave me a sense of control. Budgets weren't always right, but at least I planned and I knew what I was going to do financially, and then I'd track it. And the more I did that, the more control I felt in. And it's tricky as an entrepreneur. You kind of don't want to feel in control. You want to go with the flow. There's a bit of that thing about being an entrepreneur. But actually, financial control, really, really essential. And then even if your budget says the worst and we're going to lose money, then you can put strategy in place to try and prepare against that. So, number one, do a plan. Number two, do a budget. Would be my very strong recommendations.
Okay, in terms of you've talked your presence, in terms of going forwards, how do you see yourself, developing even further, perhaps with other businesses? I mean, what's your plans for the future?
Well, great fun. I mean, when I sold the business 3 and a bit years ago, I went overnight from a desk piled high full of paper, hot telephone, and queue of people outside my office to singing. And I went from that to nothing overnight, and it was wonderful for a time. And I retired for 3 months, played a lot of cricket, then got extremely bored when the cricket season finished. And I had restrictions on me. I couldn't go into agency, I couldn't do digital marketing because of the sale restrictions. So I did mentoring, and it was great. I really, really enjoyed it and enjoy it today. So all pro bono, but with Microsoft accelerators, it was in those days. Microsoft for startups, as it's called today. Set Squared in Bristol, which is the university. Fabulous, because as I said earlier, I love playing with that Rubik's Cube business, and that's exactly what you do as a mentor. And different people want different things from a mentor. Some wanted just the grey hairs, and I've got a few of those, and each one of those is a mistake. And the ones that I've lost, those are very big mistakes. Some of them want that, some of them want specific experience, like, I've got some skills in marketing and hope strategy, so some of them want that. So they all want something different. So I've done a lot and found it thoroughly enjoyable, and still do it to this day. And I've taken on quite a few board advisory positions. So as chairman or as non-exec director, and that's excellent, because you're doing a similar sort of thing. You're playing with a Rubik's Cube business, but it's real. It's not somebody else's business because you're involved. It's partly your business, but you're not day to day. I'm not sure. I've had 6 businesses. I'm not sure I've got number 7 in me. Maybe. Never say never. But
so what do you get from that?
What do I get from that?
How do you feel by doing that?
Well, I feel I'm contributing. I feel I'm helping them, stopping them to make some of the mistakes that I've made. Just passing on some experience. Yeah. it's very similar to mentoring in a way, and yet different. Yes, and I'd like to do more. I'm more than happy. I've got some start-up businesses and some scale-up businesses. Two things are very different. Starting up a business requires certain skills. Scaling up a business, slightly different skills. And then I've got some family firms where that's, they're established businesses. So they're all slightly different things that they need. So I'm doing more and more of that as time goes on. And I'm working for the marketing centre, which provides part-time marketing directors to grow businesses. So I do some work with that. Exactly what comes next, I don't know. I mean, I'm 109 already, so I can't be much more, can I?
No, it's it's your knowledge that counts. It's not the age, and you're not old. No, was it 45?
Less.
Because bearing in mind our theme for tonight is blockchain as well. Do you see that there are many blockchain companies in Bristol?
No, see, blockchain is fabulous and so exciting. Blockchain and AI are the two things that get me really excited today. So I'm reminded, going back into the mid-late 90s when the internet was just starting. And my cricket business was selling direct, and we did many things wrong, but we were the first cricket equipment company with their own website in the world. And I thought, it's wonderful, this internet, it's going to change the way everybody does business. And it did, of course. It still does to this day. And I'm reminded of that now, partly with blockchain, also with AI, that some of the things that we think of now as established and the norm are going to change completely. Kind of think of examples, medical, I think is a good example. For blockchain in the medical world, so we could have, as individuals, we could all have control of our own medical records through blockchain. Instead of it being the property of the doctors or the hospitals, or the doctor writing the hospital, or the hospital writing, and all that chaos. And oh dear, we've lost your medical records. That's nonsense. It's archaic. And you can imagine blockchain can take control of that. And it can give different levels of access to the people. It can be completely public, it can be partly private, partly public. So it has wonderful applications. And AI in that circumstance as well. I was reading something recently, I forget the exact numbers, forgive me, but they were looking at triage. People coming in with medical complaints and triage. And I think the numbers were vaguely, if a nurse did triage, the success rate was 65%, and doctors was 75%, and AI was 85%. And it's going to totally change the way in which we all interface with the medical world. It's going to affect our lives and our health and how long we live. You can't get beyond that. So for me, AI and blockchain are the two absolute biggies.
But do you feel that perhaps, as an example, NHS, it's more political than the technology behind that? Is people thinking that, I don't know who's got access to my file, how people get reassured if they don't even understand what the blockchain is, which is safer, more secure.
Yeah, and it is a difficult. If you ask the man in the street what blockchain is, I haven't done it, but I don't think they would know. A lot of my friends don't know what blockchain is. They think blockchain is Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is a blockchain application, but it's not the same thing.
But that's what they think.
But that's what they think, because there isn't much knowledge about blockchain, because it's marginally complicated. If you try and explain in words of one syllable what blockchain is, do people understand it? Well, some do, and some don't. I think it's much more important, what are the applications of blockchain? Because blockchain isn't very sexy. I think AI is sexy and it's scary all at the same time. Blockchain isn't very sexy. It has massive potential, but it's kind of at the boring end of things. So people switch off quite early when you start to explain. Because if you talk about AI, and they go, oh, it's scary, this is going to take over the world, and we're all going to be slaves to the computer, and the human race is dead. They can understand it at that level, but they can't. I think it's more difficult for people to understand, some of the blockchain applications. And is blockchain going to be? Is it going to be the next internet? I think it's too early to say, isn't it?
Well, there are some startups, interesting startups. For example, law, which they actually perform better than a lawyer. Depending on what, well...
Not all lawyers, of course.
Not all lawyers. At least some test pilots, depending on what it is, of course. But yes, AI blockchain is quite a big... if everything, that means that the data will never be lost.
Yes.
It will never be stolen.
Yeah.
You can't get any more secure than that.
Yeah. So, I do some work for a cyber security company. Security is in all our minds, isn't it? Of data, of money. Security is the big thing. So if it just does that, then I think it has the ability to do a bit more than that, doesn't it? That in itself, I think, would be wonderful.
Especially with money, it's such a sensitive issue where no one can do anything without being involved. Because that's a chain of computers that we talk for right now.
Absolutely.
But in terms of your personal journey, how do you see yourself in 10 years' time? Is it more companies, more experience, more different technologies?
Different technologies, certainly. No matter how old you are, I think you've either got a techie piece in your head or you haven't. And I was kind of born with that, and I've always been fascinated by the new technology and excited by it. Rarely scared, but always excited by it. So I'm as excited today, as I say, about AI and blockchain as I was with the internet. So I expect I'll be doing something in 10 years' time with one or both of those. I know my son's already involved in AI, so maybe we'll be happening to it. Sure.
Do you think you can work with your son? Or?
Well, I already work with. So he runs Lux Rewards, which is a restaurant reward app. So I'm chairman of his advisory board. Because he's my son, then half the time he doesn't listen to me at all. I have to remind him I'm his chairman, and then he sometimes listens. But he's very, very clever. He's cleverer than me. So it doesn't need much help or advice from me, I think.
Well, you're being modest, I'm sure he does. So in terms of, I didn't mean it like that. I meant, that a son always, maybe he's not going to show it, but he always listens to his dad. I'm speaking from personal experience. We kind of touched blockchain. You get a kind of a brief overview on your background. Is there any advice, any tips you would like to share with us in terms of your business experience, how entrepreneurs could cope with different situations? Is there anything which would like to say?
Well, I think today, I think it's fabulous for entrepreneurs. There's so much support mechanism out there through incubators and accelerators and mentors, and there's lots and lots of startup advice, lots of scale-up advice. There's lots of help and support. And back in the day, entrepreneurs like me had very little support, and we made probably more mistakes than maybe they'll make today. So I would encourage anybody in startup or scale-up land to join an incubator or an accelerator and use those facilities. Some of them have free free accommodation, and most of them have free training, lots of them have mentors, some of them have access to finance. Use that. You know, it's there, and it's fabulous. So use it as much as you can.
And would you say, just to kind of touch it briefly, is it more the entrepreneurial, the idea that people, especially investors, look for?
Well,
What is that they are actually looking for? You know, if an entrepreneur hasn't failed at all before, or you know, the idea, but he doesn't have the right development tools or self-development tools. You know, what is that? You know, I'm sure there's a bit of luck as well in the market.
oh, there's a lot of luck involved. But the question is, what are investors wanting?
Yes, I mean, what's the ideal scenario that you can say, well, this entrepreneur has a better chance of succeeding than the other one because he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. You know, what would be an ideal from your perspective?
It's a blend, isn't it? You need the entrepreneur to have passion and to have enthusiasm and to have belief in his product or service or idea. Investors won't generally invest in one entrepreneur, they'll invest in a team, and they'll invest in the team because of the quality of what they have. They're investing in the team not so much as the idea, but the ability to deliver the idea.
So it's more the execution.
It's more, ideas are a ten a penny. Being able to deliver an idea is, so the old adage is better to have an ordinary idea but the ability to deliver than to have an earth-shattering idea. Give you an example. So I was mentor at Prince Andrew's Picture Palace, and they did a roadshow in Cambridge, and the people I was allocated to mentor had the most wonderful medical application. In the way in which we're all going to die a horrible death from lots of the drugs that we use being overused, and they had wonderful sticky stuff that made ordinary drugs today work forever and a day. And it's $1 billion industry, billions and billions. And I said that to them. This is earth-shattering. This is billions. They said, oh yes. They didn't get through the first round because they didn't have the ability to stand up on stage and present themselves and present their idea. They muttered and you know, the slides were a mess, and you know, I had no time to work with them, or I would have suggested they completely redo them. So there is the most wonderful idea, but they couldn't even get past stage one. So it's not about the idea, it's about the quality of the team, the ability to deliver, and perhaps the ability to present the idea to investors, to other people who might get involved. And if you can't do that, you're not going to get off the starting blocks.
But then do you think that there are some people which they are fantastic salesmen,
Yes.
but they haven't got any good ideas?
Yes.
And then that's when, you know, the other side of the coin is...
Absolutely. And obviously it's a blend. And you kind of need both. But if you ask investors what they invest in people before the idea. And I think it's mainly around people's ability to deliver. And I'm amazed to this day that, you know, you see pitch decks from entrepreneurs, and it doesn't actually say how they're going to do it. They say it's a wonderful idea, there's the market, we take this percent of the market, we're going to make this many millions, and here's the graph, and everybody gets excited, and so on. They don't. I haven't seen many, it's a horrible generalisation, but I haven't seen many who've actually got a business plan that says, right, so there's wonderful opportunity, but this is how we're going to do it. This is at granular level, how we're going to make this happen, make this money. And this is our detailed financial forecast, and this is the thinking behind the forecast, and so on. maybe that's a bit old school, but
I suppose that comes with experience as well. If people have done that before or they failed before, then they understand that better. But if it's someone 20-year-old just left university, doesn't quite.
20-year-olds don't have a fear of failure, do they? Which is and rightly so. I didn't. And when you failed once, you learned so many lessons. And you might not say it out loud, but you say it to yourself in your brain at 3:59 a.m. and you say that's never going to happen again. And you get, what doesn't break you makes you stronger. You get an inner steel, and you learn to budget tighter, plan more. And it's not very sexy to say that stuff, but actually,
That's what works.
well, in my experience.
Yeah.